Welcome. This is a deck I like to call Twinpod, designed by Smitty of the A-Team. This is really just one of my favorite decks right now. Maybe not as favorite as Callblade, but it's definitely almost as fun to me. It requires a lot of thought, but it's really fast. It's a fast controlling combo aggro deck, if you'll accept that. It's really interesting the way it works. It comes through so many different angles. So let's start off with the basics here. The deck is named Twinpod. At least I'm calling it Twinpod. I think it's the best name because it shows the two main strategies for the deck. The deck strategies revolve around Birthing Pod or Splinter Twin, as we see here. So Splinter Twin obviously wants to go into Saber Exarch if you can, but the nice thing about this deck is it's good on anything above 2 usually. I mean, you can put on an Estimator if you need to, but for the most part, any creature in this deck beyond 2 mana is just excellent with Splinter Twin, with the exception of the Darkslick Drake that I have in there. That's my own flair. It's for the Birthing Pod. And the other aspect is Birthing Pod, as we talked about. It allows you to chain up through your creatures. An Estivator, or you can start with Birds of Paradise. Rarely you're second Birds of Paradise. Sometimes you do. Cobra or Nest Invader into Deceiver Exarch or Seagate Oracle. The Deceiver Exarch, if you have enough mana untapped, you can actually untap the Birthing Pod and go up to your 4 immediately. And you get a Metamorph, a Darkslick Drake, or an Obstinate Baloth. And from there, Acidic Slime, and there, Frost Titan. So essentially the Birthing Pod strategy turns into a land control strategy, where you're blowing up their lands or keeping their land tapped down. So that's blowing it up and keeping their lands tapped down. It's very effective. Often blue-black control never hits 5 mana against you if you get a good start. So it's just really nice. In regards to Splinter Twin combo, you can actually go off on turn 3 with a turn 1 Birds of Paradise, turn 2 Deceiver Exarch, and turn 3 Splinter Twin. So it's just fantastic. You're running one less Splinter Twin because you're not focused on the combo as much as other decks. It's just there, but it's really fantastic if it goes off. And otherwise, Splinter Twin is just value on all these cards. If your opponent's tapped out and you have an Acidic Slime in play, stick a Splinter Twin on it. The nice thing with the Splinter Twin copies is they copy the mana cost of whatever you copy. So one of my favorite plays is turn 5 Acidic Slime. Even if I don't draw, if I have a if I draw a Birthing Pod after that, not draw Birthing. If I have a Birthing Pod in play, I can slap down the Splinter Twin on the slime. Copy the slime, so I destroy one of the lands, swing with it. It's 2 damage, they don't block because it's a death touch token. And it's going to die at the end of the turn, so they don't block. Then you Birthing Pod away the token and get a Frost Titan. So they're down 2 mana on their next turn. You tap down one of their mana and you blow up one of their lands. They're going to be blowing up land every turn unless they kill the original creature. They also have to deal with this 6/6 Titan. That's very hard to deal with because of his triggered ability to counter spells, and it's just fantastic. Darkslick Drake is there as a value sacrifice. Opposite Baloth there is the same thing, value sacrifice, but they're both different types of value. Life value versus card draw value. Phyrexian Metamorph can usually he's the end of a chain, because he'll end up as a Titan or a Slime. Well, if he has a Slime, you can chain him back into Frost Titan, but he's just a great creature. Oftentimes, he'll be copying a Frost Titan or Slime. He's just brutal in those situations. Seagate Oracle is there for the times when you are able to Birthing Pod on your 2-drops, but you don't have the mana to skip to the 4-drops immediately. Or you don't want to, because it would cost too much life. So just getting a Seagate Oracle, grabbing a card, and the next turn sacking the Seagate Oracle to move up the chain one more is just a fine play there. Of note, the accelerants are 4 Birds of Paradise, 4 Lotus Cobras, and 3 Nest Invaders. Nest Invaders is great in this deck, I really love it. Giving you a solid body. I mean, a bear is not the worst thing in the game, but also having that Eldrazi token. So you can sacrifice this guy, you still have the Eldrazi token in play, or you can just use the Eldrazi token to accelerate. A turn 2 Nest Invader allows you to turn 3 Birthing Pod and use it, and go to a Seagate Oracle if you want, after you've swung. So it's just a lot of value there. And getting Birthing Pod is really important against control decks. If you like stick a Birthing Pod against a blue-black deck, they need to kill all of your creatures as soon as they hit play, and that's just brutal for them because your deck's full of creatures, 25 creatures in there. Of note, this deck is not good at recasting Vengevines. While you are full of creatures, you need to parse them out in a certain way. You're often going to be playing a bunch of your mana accelerators early game, so your hand's going to get light on creatures pretty quickly. They're going to be killing these off, but hopefully you got value out of them before they died. And when you're nearing mid-game, you're only going to have a couple creatures in your hand. It's going to be enough to keep Birthing Pod going, but you're not going to have enough to re-trigger Vengevines. That's why he's not in the deck anymore. So, Lotus Cobra's there. We have a package of 8 fetch lands to supplement him. There was a Verdant Catacombs, but I took it out for another forest to make the mana a little bit better. So, let's see here. Copperline Gorges, as expected. Also Preordain. It's just another way to help find combos or find your namesake cards, Birthing Pod or Splinter Twin. Just fantastic. Of note, if you don't get what you need, you can always Lotus Cobra into turn 3 Acidic Slime, which is pretty valuable. And if you get a turn 4 Frost Titan, I've gotten turn 3 Frost Titans. Yeah, it's pretty sick. Like a turn 1 Birds of Paradise, turn 2 Lotus Cobra, and Frost Titan. This deck has so many ways to attack. It requires a lot of thought because you always have the options with Birthing Pod and Splinter Twin. Do you sacrifice your Exarch or do you hold on to it hoping you can draw a twin? There's a lot of different options, so you got to keep that in mind. The deck only had 3 Urging Veins when I saw it. I added a 4th just for consistency value. The deck does have to watch out for Spreading Seas, which is coming back a lot. So oftentimes you're not fetching blue because your opponents will be giving you blue, just depending on your opponent. So the deck's not very heavy blue either. There's only 2 cards that require double blue. I mean, Dark Slick Drake does as well, but usually you're just chaining into that. You don't actually hard cast it that often. And Lotus Cobra is good for mana too. So it all depends on what they've done with your mana creatures and how your mana's come out. But usually your mana's fine. It can be assaulted though. I've lost a couple games to bad mana, but any 3-color deck will do that. So I really like this deck. It's going to be getting some new tools when M12 comes out, like Solemn Simulacrum will be better here in this slot. But I don't even know if the metagame will change at that point. But so far I've done 7-1 with dailies of this. Just really insane, and the only time I lost a match was just a little bad luck against Valakut. So let's look at the sideboard here. We have Arc Trail as a way to... In the main deck you'll notice there's no removal really. All your removal is essentially Frost Titan. I mean, sometimes Phyrexian Metamorph can act as a removal if they have a removal creature themselves. Acidic Slime is removal for artifacts, lands, and enchantments. But when we come to the side, most decks in Standard we don't really care about removal with. But the sideboard does bring some in against certain decks. Like against Mono Red, you want removal instead of mana acceleration, because they'll be playing their own Arc Trails and their own Searing Blazes. So you want to drop all of your birds and cobras. Nest Invader is fine because it gives you 2 creatures. If they Arc Trail your Nest Invader and it's still a token, that's fine value for you. You're trading 1 for 1 there. But otherwise, you don't want to give them good values for their Arc Trails and their Fork Bolts and their Searing Blazes, whatever they're playing. Dismember is good against other Deceiver decks that are trying to combo off. It's a 1-mana kill on their creatures. There's certain other decks like you might bring it against Mono Black depending on how their build is to get rid of their Obliterators. It all depends on how things go. That brings up another point on Mono Black. This card is a 3-drop, but it costs 4 mana, which is just fantastic. I just threw 1 back into the deck, back into card pool. But they're supposed to be 3. But oftentimes I have Inquisition in my hand to just have a Birthing Pod and some other stuff in it, and they want to take the Birthing Pod, but obviously you can't. This card's only hit by Duress. In Standard, almost no one's playing Duress. So, and Duress is not that great against the deck either. It only has 10 non-creature spells in it. So, Duress is often whiffed against me as well. So going back here, we have Lightning Bolts against Red, Vampires, etc., Elves. a lot of things you'll need to be killing early creatures on. Again, most of standard doesn't need lightning bolts in it, but certain decks you'll want lightning bolts. Nature's Claim is there for opposing spell skites. Just a lot of different things. There's a lot of utility in the format. Obstinate Bailoff is there against red and other aggressive, super aggressive decks. Not like elves, but it's there against any deck with red in it. Essentially, that's trying to be aggressive against you. Oftentimes against mono red, a Splinter Twin on an Obstinate Bailoff is just game by itself. The nice thing is that you can have spell skites protecting the combo too. So it's just beautiful. And spell skites, they're great against red, great against Deceiver Exarch decks. Just a lot of action there. I bring in one against blue-black decks, just so I take out, I believe, a Nest Invader. Actually, I take out an Obstinate Bailoff. But the nice thing with Spellskite is, as a one-of, is you can sacrifice a Birds of Paradise to just pull it out and protect your Frost Titans and your Splinter Twins, etc. So I really like this deck. I don't think the sideboard is completely cemented yet. I don't think the main board is completely cemented yet either, but it's pretty close. As you can see here, the mana is pretty solid. It's just beautiful. The only red card in the deck in the main board, remember, is Splinter Twin, which does require 2 red. I guess you can say Ragebringer Ravine requires another red as well, since you need another red to activate it. But remember, when you're playing, you don't need more than 2 blue usually, with the exception of these cards. And green is your most important mana, so just remember that. It's a fantastic deck. I've been playing it a lot. I'm really proud of Smitty for designing this deck. I was telling my friend yesterday, I can't believe he designed a tier 1 deck. This quick, at least. So that was great. And I will see you in some games. Unfortunately, on my last daily where I went 4-0, only 2 games got saved out of the whole, like 11 games I played. So it's kind of annoying. But I will see you later.